I'm gonna try to walk you through this quick because I think it's gonna rain for the next like 5 or 6 days, and I wanted to kind of do a walkthrough of the garden because I haven't done that in a week, a little over a week, and it was a gorgeous day outside today. So I'm just gonna walk you through. I'm gonna start up front. I'm gonna short and sweet and to the point. We've been adding stuff to the beds. Things have been growing, things are coming in. I'm getting a vague idea of where I'm gonna want to put stuff and phase stuff in and out. So I'm just gonna jump right into it and show you what we got going on. So we're gonna start with the front beds, which is garden red and garden blue, and this is garden red. As you guys know, we have the cilantro that's going absolutely insane, and the lettuces, which are doing a lot better than I expected them to. We transplanted some of the Brussels sprouts out here because this bed gets less sun, and so it's going to be a cooler bed for them to stay in. And I also noticed I took the boards up, and we have tons and tons of little carrots coming in now. These things are not supposed to be growing in here. That's the problem with this, and I don't think I will ever do this again. I mulched with leaves from the maple trees, and in the mulch there were tons of the little like whirligig things, and they're sprouting all over my beds. I mean, like right here, tons and tons of maple trees. And so I'm just pulling them up by the roots. But yeah, we have a couple of carrots from last round that have decided they're gonna come up a little faster than some of the others, but there are tons and tons of the little carrot seedlings, so I'm gonna leave those alone. But yeah, these are some of the Brussels sprouts that were transplanted. There will be more coming out. They will probably fill up this in a line, and then any gaps that I have in this bed, probably back there in that corner. Oh, speaking of, I also have like these coming in. This is dill. I threw some elephant dill seeds in the corners. There's some here, and there's some back there in that corner, just to give, you know, some things a little more space, a little more, you know, just something to fill in the edges. I have nasturtiums planted in the edges of some of them, herbs, those sorts of things, because I really want to use the space in my beds this year. I don't want there to be any empty gaps. I want it to be useful and active and growing and green and full. So moving on, you guys see the green grow bags. Obviously my gladiolas are getting tall, but they're not getting ready to bloom yet. The tulips, however, are starting to put little beds on down in there. But these green bags, there's several of them dotted around. They have our potatoes in them, and so they're growing. And so far, I mean, I've looked at a few of them. None of them are breaking the dirt, and so we're just going to keep an eye on them. But yeah, this of course is the kale and the nasturtiums back there in the back. Now these are some of the new kales that I have put out. Red kale here, and of course the curly kale that's older. That's one of my newer curly kales. New one. And so this is red kale right in through here. We've also put some tot soy out here. This is a new tot soy. That's a new tot soy. Spinach is doing fine. These are the kohlrabi. You know, they're purple kohlrabi from Baker Creek. I have thrown some onions in. I'm doing an experiment. That back there is just a bunch of the onions. I'm gonna let them grow up, let them grow together bunched, pick them as small onions. And then I have transplanted the other onions, super tiny, out here in between the garlics to see how quickly they will grow. And of course, we've got our tulips out here, and all these cute little purple violas out here. I've been leaving them, and they've escaped. Like, they're everywhere. They're like all around this thing. But I have tulips in there coming up. They'll be blooming before I know it. And of course, it's super windy out here as usual. I don't think a day goes by that it's not windy out here. So I'm gonna show you what I got going on out here. And again, you know, this is just normal spring stuff and getting all of that taken care of. But let's see, the mint and the oregano are taking off. Here's the herb garden. Strawberries, and of course that random cilantro right there that self-seeds every year. But yeah, look at that oregano. I cleaned it up a bit. It is all over the place. And the mint back there, coming back hardy. Like, the mint has been all the way over here. I've been having to pull root systems up over here to cut the mint back, because it will spread like wildfire. And then here, I also have some of the elephant garlic coming up, like in through here. So, elephant garlic and the sage is greening up. I have trimmed this twice now, these chives, and put them in the dehydrator, because they're growing like weeds, which essentially they are weeds around here. But turnips are putting on true leaves, but there's turnips, obviously some of them back there getting a little bigger. You can see the radishes dotted in over there. I've expanded this. This was one of the things that I had on my project list. I cut off the excess of the other one, attached it to this one to fill in the rest of this bed. Obviously these will be moved around as we move plants around, as things grow in, but I have split them between the two beds, and I have an attachment that will go between the two for us to hook together when we're actually watering, so that will keep it from being in the way when we're mowing and things like that. So these are the purple potted peas. Look how much they have grown in like 10 days, and I love how they are like red and stuff on the edges. They are just really pretty, and also they're putting tendrils out, so I'm hoping that they'll be climbing this pretty soon. Yeah, radishes, obviously radishes are looking good and healthy and growing, and I have a few of the nasturtiums that have started to come up, the random onions, but we're having to avoid, see, this is a nasturtium coming up right there in the corner, but we're having to avoid these beds because of this. You see that? Those are fire ants, and they are all in this bed, all around the corner down through there. They are all the way, like this is another nest of them right here, and they're over there. We're gonna have to treat this bed. This happens to one of our beds every year, and sometimes more than one of them. I don't know, like it's just the risk of having raised beds, but yeah, fire ants are terrible, and they are everywhere, and they get everywhere. But there's nothing in that bed right now but those onions, so I'm not super concerned, because that's going to be more of a summer bed, and so we're just going to leave it alone. We're going to treat it. Hopefully we're going to find a way to get rid of them without putting any kind of poison in there, but we will see what we have to do, because one of my kids is allergic, can't handle it just being that way. So we're going to leave it alone and just kind of go from there. Now, one thing that I've planted in this bed, but it's not sprouted yet, and I'm seriously starting to wonder if it's going to, or if I'm going to have to try it again, is that spinach, the strawberry spinach. None of it is coming up. I'm not seeing anything. Like it was planted right through here, but they were teeny tiny seeds, and I'm not seeing any kind of growth. So there may not be anything going on with that. I'm gonna take you back up to the house, and then I'm gonna call it quits on this one because I'm being summoned. So I'm going to show you the red little herb ones where I've got a couple of nasturtiums, and the chamomile is coming up, and those are also teeny tiny plants, and I feel like every time I see a couple of them, it rains and then the dirt covers them back up. So I'm hoping eventually they'll get big enough to where it's not a problem. So there's some more nasturtiums planted in the corners just for fun. But you see like the chamomile, Libya chamomile, and there's euthanasia in this as well. But I mean, all the chamomile seems to be coming up, these teeny tiny little plants throughout here. It's like right here in the front, but I don't see any in the back for the euthanasia. And I mean, got the nasturtiums again, and then through this bed, like there's some of the little bitty plants there, but I'm not seeing any of the euthanasia coming up yet. And so I don't know if it will. That's one of the problems, I guess, is the fact that it may or may not come up. So I'm gonna try again. We've got extra seeds, but goodness, this wind is just driving me crazy. I've still got some seeds in the basement that were, or say seedlings that I'm gonna put out. Just did the video on the tomatoes, so you guys, I mean, they have doubled in size since I transplanted them on Sunday, but those obviously aren't going out yet. I will be planting the cucumbers and maybe some of the squash, the winter squashes, soon to get them ready to go out. That'll probably be this weekend, a little after, but we are planning to have rain for the next few days, and I just wanted to go ahead and get an idea of what was going on right now, because getting all that rain, things are going to explode. Like things are going to get, you know, really big really quick. It's spring, the garden's going to want to take off, and it won't be too much longer, and we'll be putting in summer things. So I've got, I think, one more round of things to harden off. I think there's just a couple more of the kohlrabi, the Brussels sprouts, you know, those sorts of things. I don't think there's any more of the kale that need to be moved out, but I don't know that for sure. I'm gonna kind of just wait and have to check it and see. But we put out the majority of that stuff and got it in the ground so it can be growing right now. But as you can tell, it is super windy. It's blowing in storms that are going to come in tomorrow. We're hoping that they don't get too terrible. I mean, we have you know, the chances of tornadoes and things like that. We're in an area that has been hit by tornadoes. We've had a house that's been hit by tornadoes before. My office was hit by a tornado last year. And so it's that time of year. So I wanted to get this while everything was gorgeous and pretty, and heaven help us if something goes wrong, then we'll have this, and then we'll just build the gardens back. But cross our fingers, nothing like that is happening, and we're not gonna have to worry about it. But I will talk to you guys later, and just wanted to get a little bit of information out there because we do have some things in the garden. Things are growing, seedlings are coming up, and it's spring. Bye guys.